Okay. All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this morning's training. My name is Chrissy Burr. My official title in Wisconsin DI is the Affiliate Challenge Master for the engineering team, but I also work with Wisconsin DI statewide on training for all of our appraisers, our challenge masters, and our team managers. So thank you so much for coming this morning. This training is intended for new appraisers. So if you've appraised before, you are certainly welcome to come. But this is going to be from the bare basics, assuming that you don't know anything about appraising at a DI tournament. So first of all, thank you so much. Our program could not run and our tournaments could not run. So you signed up to be an appraiser. Now what? All right, so today we're going to talk about DI as just an overview base of what is DI, what is an appraiser. We're going to talk through what that means for you, tournament day schedule at a glance, what you can expect on tournament day, trainings that you need to do ahead of time. Just we want you all to feel comfortable and prepared when you come into the tournament. And then just some things to know about tournament day, what to bring, what to wear, what to expect. So we know that some of you may have been voluntold. So we wanted to just have you feel a little bit more comfortable that we're here to support you and we want you to have a really good experience. If you do have questions, we didn't do introductions. Do we want people to put where their names, where they're appraising? We could in the chat if you want to. You can, optional, but if you do have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat and we will answer them as we go. We are recording, so if you don't feel comfortable asking questions while we're recording, you can save them to the end as well, and we will stop the recording and you can ask them then. But please feel free if you do have questions to put them in the chat as we go. All right, so as I said, thank you so much. DI is run by very few paid employees. We're run on thousands and thousands of volunteers around the world. So we really, truly could not put this experience on for the kids without you all. I got a lag on my slides. Okay. So was there another slide in between here? No. Okay. So destination imagination. So there's a couple different parts about the DI experience that kind of make up destination imagination. So there's going to be, so some of you may be assigned appraising something called Instant Challenge, and we'll talk about that. And some of you may be what we call Team Challenge appraisers. So out of this 100%, 75% of the score for that the kids are going to be working on is part of their team challenges that they work on for months ahead of time. And then 25% of the score is for something we call Instant Challenge, where they're going to go into a room on tournament day and solve a challenge that they've never seen. So when we talk about DI and Instant Challenge is that in the room on the day of instant surprise challenge that they'll compete with. And the central challenge and team choice elements are going to be part of what they're working on now ahead of time to bring to tournament. All teams will be working on for months. Some teams started in September, some teams started in January, really varies however long teams want to participate. But teams will be participating in one sectional tournament. And then at their sectional tournament, they're going to compete in both a team challenge presentation and an instant challenge portion. Team challenge is open to spectators. So parents, other teams, anybody that can come and watch that. Instant challenge is going to be in a room with like paper over the doors, completely confidential. That's just going to be the team and the appraisers and up to optionally one team manager. So teams will be competing. There may be lots of levels in the same room throughout the day. So you may be appraising elementary, middle, secondary level teams, but they will only compete against teams of their same age level and challenge. So we score everybody just against their same age level. And then the top 3 teams at our sectional tournament in each challenge and in each age range will be eligible to advance to our affiliate tournament on April 6th in Green Bay. So you all as appraisers have an important job because you're going to help us determine who those top 3 teams are. So team challenges. Every year in Destination Imagination, there are categories of challenges that come out that are the same every year. So every year there's a technical challenge, an engineering challenge, a scientific challenge, a fine arts challenge, improv service learning, and then a special early learning challenge for our earliest DIers, kindergarten, first and second grader. So the categories are the same, but every year the specific requirements are unique that get written. So teams are going to pick one of these 7 challenges and compete in that. And then everybody's going to compete in instant challenge. So instant challenges can be lots and lots of different things. They could be performance-based. So teams may perform with props. They might give them stuff that they have to come up with a presentation. Might be completely just coming up with a skit without any props. They might have imaginary props. We might give them a bunch of supplies and they have to make their own props. Or it could be a task-based challenge where they have to build or make something out of pipe cleaners and pieces of paper and rubber bands and mailing labels, where they have to build something as tall as possible that holds as much weight as possible, that moves a golf ball, that protects an egg. They might have to come up with a nonverbal communication system to solve some sort of a challenge. It really is a lot of different possibilities, or it could be a combination of the two. They might have to build something and then do a performance with it. So throughout the year, teams, we've got lots of sample and practice instant challenges for these teams. So they'll be practicing all of these different combinations. And then on tournament day, there's specific instant challenges that are written for the sectional and affiliate and global finals tournaments every year that are a secret. And so they'll go in and then have to solve that same challenge. So your role as an appraiser. So we call you appraisers, not judges, for a reason. So unlike a lot of other things, we don't start at 100 points and then deduct points down. Everybody earns as many points as possible. So your job as an appraiser and an official is to award each team as many points as possible. And so we really try to celebrate and focus on what the team did produce versus on what they didn't do or maybe that they did wrong. So, you know, we just really try to make this a positive experience and celebrate everything that the kids do. Everything in DI is kid created. So we take that very seriously. Unlike some of the other programs where you might have mom or dad that built the science fair project, that's not this at all. The kids sign something called a Declaration of Independence. 1 minute, we'll give you, I see a hand, just a second. Let me finish my thought here and then we'll answer that question. So they signed something that says they promise that everything that they did themselves. And so we take that really seriously as we go through, and there's some more slides on interference later, but our job is to just, we don't go out of our way to look for interference, but if something does come up, our job as an appraiser is to make sure that it's fair and consistent for all teams. And then after the performance, you'll have a chance to do some question and answers with your teams, ask them questions about how they performed, write thoughtful sticky notes. Again, celebration, right? So we want to have you all celebrate the accomplishments of the kids and make them feel good. So even if they have really low scores, they're going to walk away with a sheet full of Post-it notes with positive things that the appraisers had to say about their team, which a lot of times the kids don't care about the scores, but they love those sticky notes. So that's, I think, a really cool thing that we do. And then if teams go above and beyond, as an appraiser, you have the option to nominate them for special awards. We have a question. Dick, you want to unmute?
Yeah. With the instant challenge, like, do several teams do the same challenge?
That depends. Okay, so every team in the same challenge and in the same level will get the same instant challenge at a tournament.
Oh, okay.
It may be like elementary and middle level teams for the same challenger in the same room, and they get the same challenge as well. Or they might get different ones. A lot of that just depends on the schedule and how many teams we have and how many rooms. And so an elementary team may get the same challenge from two separate challenges. But what we can guarantee is that every single team in the same challenge and level always gets that same challenge. But beyond that, nobody knows until the schedule comes out. And as appraisers, you won't actually know what if you're doing instant challenge, you won't know what that challenge is until the day of the tournament. Because just like we keep it secret for the teams, we don't give that to you ahead of time. So if you're doing team challenge, you'll get your challenges ahead of time. If you're doing instant challenge the morning of, you'll be reading the challenge that you'll be appraising. Good question.
Thank you.
All right. Required, Logan, you have a question.
So that means in theory somebody from like fine arts, then if they're doing like fine arts middle level, and somebody from like scientific elementary level could then be doing two separate, or like or let me rephrase that. Somebody from middle level middle level fine arts and middle level scientific might not even be doing the same instant challenge in theory then.
They might not, they might. It all depends on the schedule. And the challenge masters work with the tournament directors for instant challenge to determine the challenges that they want to use. And so they're written in a very open-ended way. And the instant challenges, it's not like if you are doing a technical challenge, you might get a performance challenge or you might get a task-based challenge. It doesn't matter. It's really just random. And that's part of the instant challenge, the beauty of instant challenge, right? And why they need to practice everything. All right, good questions. So required materials. So every team and every appraiser, all of us have three things that we use as a base. That team challenge, the rules of the road, and something that we call published clarifications. So these are materials that you will get ahead of time unless you're instant challenge. The rules of the road is available ahead of time for instant challenge appraisers that they will walk through. So the team challenge is all of the requirements that the team has to follow and what is going to be scored. So things that they must do, things that they must not do, time limits, budgets, all of that. So we want you as appraisers to read that ahead of time. There's also something called the rules of the road. This is a general rule guide for all of Destination Imagination. It lists things like who's considered elementary, who's middle, the age breakdowns, safety concerns, details about procedures for instant challenge and tournament day, details on expense reports. So there's lots of really useful things in the rules of the road that just kind of set the base level for everybody, no matter what challenge they're doing. And then the team challenge is that base specifics that the team is going to provide. There's also something we call published clarifications. So every challenge has somebody called a challenge master. And when we say challenge master, that means that they're the experts in that challenge at whatever level. So in DI, we have regional challenge masters who you're going to be working with at the sectional level. We have affiliate challenge masters for Wisconsin. We're kind of over the state of Wisconsin. And then every challenge has two international challenge masters that are the experts for the challenge worldwide. So those challenge masters are watching and fielding questions and things. And if they find that there's anything not clear in the team challenge, they may issue what's called a published clarification. And so those will be made available to you for each of your team challenges. And they're really important because they supersede the team challenge. They usually don't lock the challenge down more, but they clarify things if there's a gray area or something that they feel was missed in the editing process. So it's really important that you look at not just the team challenge, but also those published clarifications. So key roles, I guess we kind of started talking about this a little bit on your appraisal team. So every appraisal team is going to have somebody called a regional challenge master. So these are going to be the individuals that are going to be working with you at your individual sectional tournaments that are the experts in your challenge. So you'll be receiving email communications from them, letting you know what your roles are, when to show up, when everything happens on tournament day, and they're going to be running your sites at the tournament for your challenge. If there are multiple rooms in the same challenge at a sectional tournament, obviously that challenge master can't be in every place at the same time. There may be somebody else called a head appraiser. We see this often at like the state tournament or affiliate tournament for Wisconsin DI. A head appraiser essentially acts as a challenge master for the site. So they're the ones that are running the site on tournament day, making sure everything flows, answering any questions. Challenge masters and head appraisers are non-scoring roles. They don't score. They're there to ask questions, answer questions from you, the appraisers, and from teams, and just keep everything moving forward. They're the ones that hand back scores to teams and just keep that all flowing. Then there'll be your job as an appraiser that are actually putting down scores. You may, if you are somebody that's going to be assigned putting down scores, your role is as an appraiser. So you will talk to the teams, watch the team performances, and put down those scores and do all of those things we talked about. You might also, for engineering, do a role that's kind of a check-in appraiser. There's something called a modular device this year for engineering that needs to be measured. That's going to happen during the prep at the same time as prep for engineering. So that's a role that might happen that you could be assigned to, where you're going to be asked to validate some materials and do some measuring. We've got roles that are called prep appraisers. So these prep appraisers are the first people that teams see on tournament day. Their job is to just do a final check of all of the paperwork, go through a safety checklist, make sure all the teams are there, answer questions, just kind of help keep the kids at ease, keep the team managers at ease, make sure that everything's set for them to perform. And so that's a non-scoring role, but it's a really important role because it helps us catch any issues ahead of time so that by the time that the teams come and are ready to perform, that we've already solved any issues that we might have. And then the last role that you could be assigned at a tournament is somebody called the timekeeper announcer. So again, a non-scoring role. Every challenge has a time limit. And this goes for both instant challenge and team challenge. And so your job is to announce the team, to announce the team to the audience, welcome everybody, kind of keep everything flowing on the site, and then also to keep track of that time. And usually for our essential challenges, that's 8 minutes. Improv's a little different. An instant challenge is going to be unique for each challenge about what the timing is. But really important role, and really the timekeeper announcer keeps the site flowing all day and makes sure that we're on time. So if you've got an early tournament, you may know what you're doing. Most of you on this call probably haven't been assigned a role yet, but this role and what your role is that you'll be filling on the appraisal team will be assigned to you by your challenge masters, and that will be coming to you within the next few weeks. But hopefully this just kind of helps you get an overview of the kinds of roles that we have as part of the appraisal team. All right, sample schedule. So we'll talk about instant challenge, and then we'll also talk about the team challenge, and then we're also going to talk about instant challenge. So what is your day going to look like? You should plan to be available for the whole day. As a scoring appraiser, we need the same people there, obviously, for all teams, because it's not a level playing field if we have different people scoring. So if you are assigned a scoring role in particular, you should be available for the entire day of the tournament. Typically, and this is going to vary, once the schedule comes out, you may not need to be there at 7 a.m., maybe a little bit later. But just for an example, you might be asked to be on site at like 7 a.m. You'll be checking in with your appraisal team, grab some breakfast, just kind of get situated. And then at like 7:30, there'd be an on-site training. So you would meet as an appraisal team with your challenge master to just kind of go through any questions that you might have, highlight any concerns that may have come up at other tournaments or things to be aware of, and just kind of make sure everybody's set with getting into mobile scoring and that there's not any questions. And then around like 8:20 to noon, you maybe have team performances, right? We try to do breaks every like 4 to 5 teams. It really depends on how many teams we have in a schedule, but you will have some breaks worked in there long enough to use the bathroom and things like that. You're not going to have lots of breaks or long breaks, but we do give you breaks. Then you'll have a break for lunch. And then if there's enough teams, you might be asked to reconvene and finish out your performances with some breaks in the afternoon. Then typically 3:30 on a day, if you've got a full day of teams, you would wrap it up, talk about any special awards that you want to do site cleanup, and then get dismissed. It's not really by the score room, but your challenge master would let you know, yep, we've got all of the scores in, everything is ready to go, and you can be on your way. Now, if you have less teams on your tournament day, you might be done earlier. We don't know that until the schedule is out. So in the next couple weeks, as schedules are finalized, those will also be shared with you, and your challenge masters will let you know what the schedules are and what time and when and where and all of those details about what you want to be on site. But this is just kind of a general expectation that you can have, especially for our larger tournaments, what this would look like. Okay. For a team, so that's kind of the appraiser timeline. Teams are generally scheduled every 20 to 30 minutes on tournament day. It really depends on how many teams we have in the tournament. But this is a sample timeline that might happen for a team. So this is a team that has a 9 a.m. performance for Central Challenge. For engineering, we would ask that they are there 30 minutes ahead of time. Everybody else, they show up 20 minutes ahead of time. So the first place that everybody goes is prep, no later than 20 minutes before their scheduled performance time. So that prep appraiser is going to meet with them for 20 minutes or 30 minutes if it's engineering, and check in everything, just make sure everything is ready to go. And then as soon as that team before them is done, they're going to move from what we call the prep area into a launch area. So there'll be a taped line somewhere on your performance site that's called the launch line, and the team has to wait behind that line to go, because their 8-minute performance time includes setup and their presentation. So they're going to come over and move to the launch line and just kind of wait for a few minutes there while you as appraisers are talking to the team before, you're putting down your scores, you're reading the paperwork for the next team. So then there'll be 8 minutes. The timekeeper announcer will announce the team, welcome everybody, let the team know that they can begin. And then we're looking at 8 minutes of a performance time per team. And so they'll perform for up to 8 minutes. Everybody applauds. And then you as appraisers will have about 5 minutes or so to meet with that team afterwards and ask any questions that you have on the elements that you're scoring and just kind of get clarification on anything that you need. So not a lot of time per team here. And then the team will leave and exit with their props, and you as appraisers will go back and finalize your scores. And then roughly 30 minutes or so, because we're doing mobile scoring, scores will be ready for pickup, and the challenge masters will be, or head appraisers will be handing those scores back to teams. And then this just repeats all day on the block, either 20 or 30-minute blocks, depending on the schedule. So not a lot of time to read paperwork and put in scores. It's pretty fast moving schedule. For instant challenge, your schedule looks similar. So, you'll be 7 a.m. again, 7:30 to 8, going over some materials. The big difference with instant challenge is you won't see your challenges until the morning of. And so we give you some extra time in the morning for instant challenge for you to read your challenge, familiarize yourself with any prep that needs to happen or reset of challenge materials or anything like that. So you'll do general training with everybody for instant challenge, and then you'll break out into your rooms and walk through and just kind of go through that. Oftentimes you might be asked to actually solve the challenge yourself with your room just to get an idea about what the challenge looks like. And then once everything is ready to go, instant challenges performances start. So just similar to the team challenges, you know, every 15 minutes, 20 minutes or so, depending on the instant challenge schedule, you'll get a new team in there with time to break. Unlike the team challenge, you don't ask the team any questions. There's no Q&A that happens after instant challenge, and there's no real announcing. The appraisers will read the challenge to the teams. So somebody will be tasked to read the instant challenge out loud, and then the time will begin for the team. But there's no applause, bows, any of that with the audience. You'll also get a break for lunch, and depending on how many teams you have, you might then come back and finish up your team performances. Like team challenge, will make sure that you get breaks and then clean up and heading out. So teams, about 30 minutes before their challenge come, they do check-in. They might be asked to go to a holding room where they just can kind of take a minute and prepare for going into their challenge room. An appraiser from your site, you might be tasked to go get the team. We have instant challenges generally in classrooms, and nobody's allowed in that hallway unless a team is being escorted by an appraiser. So an appraiser will go and get the team and bring them to the instant challenge room when they're ready. Roughly 10 minutes or so or less, they'll be in that instant challenge room completing their instant challenge. And then once they're done, they'll be escorted to what we call the chill out room, which is a place that they can just kind of debrief as a team and talk about that challenge. Teams are not allowed to talk about their instant challenge to anyone outside of their own team and the team managers on their team. And we ask at the tournament that they don't talk about the instant challenge anywhere else in the entire facility, except for in that chill out room. And that's really just because if you know, a team goes on at 9 a.m. and starts talking about their challenge, and another team doesn't have that challenge until, you know, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it's not fair, right? If any information about the challenge comes out. So we take it pretty seriously. But that's kind of what teams can expect through that schedule. All right, so that's kind of what you can expect on tournament day. So to prepare you all, there's a few trainings that we are going to ask that you complete ahead of time to make sure that you are ready to go and feel comfortable to score on tournament day. So available now, we have a Wisconsin DI Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion training. If you haven't done it already, there's a link that will get you there. And then once you are assigned to an appraisal team, whether instant challenge or team challenge, some of you may know this already, some of you may not. And if not, you'll be getting those assignments in the coming weeks. We have something called, like, there's a DI Learn online training module where we'll be asking you to complete the trainings for your specific team challenge or instant challenge. There's a few trainings there, and we'll give you full details about what those are and where to find those. And then we're also going to ask you to read through, you'll be provided with copies of the challenge and some appraiser guides specific for your challenge that walk you through how, just all of the specifics for what the team is going to be solving and what you're going to be scoring. So not a ton of time, but you should allocate a few hours to go through trainings and read your documents before tournament day. So DI Learn, you will get an email welcoming you to the DI Learning portal, and you'll click a link and sign in with your account. If it's the first time you're logging in, which this year we changed it for DI, so even if you've done this before, you'll be asked to set a password. And so once you've been registered, we at Wisconsin DI let DI Inc. know, headquarters know, that you should have access to that, and they'll get you set up so you will be receiving this email with all of the links. If you don't get this after you've been emailed and assigned to appraisal team, let your challenge master know, and they can work with Michaela or your sectional leaders to make sure that we get you set up and access to the training. The videos are pretty fast, you know, some of them say estimated time to complete. I have never taken the full time to complete a video, as it says. That's kind of the worst case scenario, so don't be alarmed. They're pretty fast to walk through. There's a few questions, just to kind of retention questions. It's not really graded, but it just kind of helps make sure that you're walking through the materials. So we ask that you do complete those, just because it's a good review and helps you be prepared to score on tournament day. When you get in there, you will see training courses here. And so you don't have to do all of these. You just pick which challenge you are scoring. So if you're doing the scientific challenge and that's what you're assigned to, you would just watch Blast from the Past. You wouldn't have to watch the engineering challenge one as well. So just the challenge that you're assigned. And if you're not assigned a team challenge, you would just watch the instant challenge trainings. So you will only get the appraiser trainings in your list to watch, but you do have to pick which of the challenge specific ones that are relevant to your assignment. So once you get in there, you'll be able to click on a training and then you can click enroll. So 25 minutes is actually pretty comparable. Last year that some of them said like hours and hours, and I promise you that they didn't take, you know, 2 to 3 hours to complete. I think generally like 20-25 minutes are what you can expect if you walk through these. So they're pretty fast. So you'll enroll. All right. And then just kind of walk through those trainings. And if you do have any questions as you're going through anything, you will have contact information for your challenge masters, and they are the best people to ask for any questions you have as you're watching the trainings, and can help you out there. All right, other things to think about. So each sectional is going to reach out with details. Some sectional tournaments provide appraiser t-shirts, some do not. It's really dependent on the sectional. And so if a t-shirt is provided to you, they will ask you which size you want ahead of time. If not, you can wear whatever you want on tournament day. We just ask that it's not, that it's A, kid appropriate, and B, not any school affiliation. So we want you to be unbiased, and so we want you to wear something that isn't specifically affiliated with your school or your home city, just because we want it to be a level playing field. All of your tournaments are going to provide lunch. Most will provide breakfast as well. You are also welcome to bring your own snacks. That's totally acceptable. But we will let you know in those emails and the information from your challenge masters what you can expect. Things to bring. So all of you will need, we use mobile scoring for DI, and so you'll need some sort of an electronic device to complete mobile scoring that has a web browser and a charger. You'll get a Wi-Fi password wherever you're going to log into the internet, and it's really up to you to determine what you prefer to use. I appraised a global finals last year, and I did it solely on my cell phone. And it was multiple days with lots of teams, and it was totally fine. But some people might prefer an iPad. Some people might prefer to have a laptop, and that's totally fine. It's whatever you have that you're comfortable with. It just needs to be able to access a web browser and something preferably that's going to keep a charge throughout the day. So we will have outlets or some sort of a place to plug in available at each of our sites, so that, you know, if you need to keep a laptop plugged in or something like that, we can do that. Other things not required, but oftentimes you see appraisers wearing fun hats or headbands or things like that. So not required, but certainly encouraged. And then comfortable shoes, because you'll be up and moving around and things like that. So that's definitely encouraged. on tournament day as well. Communications, what to expect. So all of you, when you register, will be getting a general email from Wisconsin DI. And then about 3 weeks before your tournament, you should receive an email from your regional directors with your challenge assignment, letting you know if you're doing instant challenge or engineering or scientific or improv. And then about 2 weeks before your tournament, you will be receiving communication from those regional challenge masters. So that's where you're going to get more details about your role assignments, those logistics of when and where you can arrive, any challenge specific stuff that you have. And then about a week before the tournament, there'll be an email from your regional challenge masters with reminders of any updates that are needed. We have trained and asked all of our challenge masters to make sure that they get a response from all of you in some way. And so please make sure that when you do go get those emails that you are, especially if they ask for it, to confirm that you've received it and that you have gotten that information. We just want to make sure, right, that you're getting it. Sometimes we know things get caught in spam. So if you get a phone call or a follow-up email, they will be following up with you if they haven't heard from you, just because we've asked to make sure. Well, the last thing we want is for you to not know what you're doing and not know the logistics and then show up on tournament day and you're not there because you didn't know what you needed. So please, reply to those emails, let the challenge masters know that you've gotten things, and don't be surprised if you're not responding if they don't follow up with another email or a phone call, just to make sure that you're getting everything and all of the information. Next steps. So really now, be on the lookout for your challenge assignments. Like sometimes things go into spam. So if you haven't heard anything about 3 weeks, all of our tournament dates are different. So it's not an exact date, right? It's about 3 weeks out from your tournament. You can reach out to your sectional tournament director. In that initial, Michaela, keep me honest here, email from the Wisconsin DI site, it has contact information in there of who to reach out to if you haven't heard any follow-up.
Yep.
Well, once you get your challenge assignment, read those required training materials, complete your online training, and just be ready to show up on tournament day energized and fun. I've been volunteering for 20 years and I keep coming back because there's nothing like a DI tournament experience. The kids are so excited and they are so proud of what they do. And it is such a rewarding day to be able to come and give your time to watching what these kids did, asking them questions about how they made things and how they came up with their ideas, and just seeing the pride that they have in that. So we really hope that you come and have fun, and we aim to provide a great tournament experience for all our teams. But we also want it to be a really fun and rewarding day for all of you as volunteers. And I think, you'll see a lot of newbies at our tournaments, but you'll also see a lot of people that have been coming back year after year because they love it so much. And so we hope that you have a great experience. And we ask that you, do the prep work ahead of time for the training so that you can come prepared for the day, so that it is a good experience for you and that we're providing a fair and consistent tournament for all of our teams. I went through our slides here pretty fast, but any questions that we have?